Get ready. Three, two, one, start. Since independence, considerable interest has been shown by the states, individuals, and voluntary agencies in the field of education. Educational facilities are being gradually extended to the remotest corners. Burden of tuition fees is being sought to be lessened, especially for the weaker sections of our people. More attention is being given to education of girls and for providing technical, scientific, and professional instruction. Nevertheless, I must confess I am far from happy with the progress we have made or the direction our educational programs have taken. Equal opportunity in the full and true sense does not exist, even though the government gives merit scholarships to the deserving children of low income group to enable them to take advantage of public school education. The portals of our best institutions have for all practical purposes remained the preserve of the affluent few. We have witnessed a proliferation of educational institutions, but the curriculum is more or less a legacy of the times of Lord Macaulay. We have spent much energy on issues of language and medium of instruction, and yet what has emerged is mostly clouds of controversy. We have not been able to evolve any system whereby our young boys and girls, after finishing their studies, can come out of their schools and colleges with any measure of self confidence to face the realities of life and to undertake their responsibilities as responsible citizens and custodians of the future. Para standards of discipline and physical fitness have also noticeably fallen. It is not too late to make a dispassionate reappraisal. The educational system has to be relevant to the society in which we live. Our children are the greatest asset of the nation. The future of the country depends on them, and how safe the country's future will be in their hands depends in turn on the character and capabilities that our education system and our educational institutions instill, inspire, and build in them. Towards this, and our educational pattern has to be restructured so as to meet the challenge of our times. It should be flexible enough to adjust to the changing requirements, lest it should get fossilized. We cannot afford to pursue old methods in the changed situation. If we want to build a brighter and better India, we should start at the school level by training our girls and boys to be useful and worthy citizens of the motherland. Para there is need in our schools and colleges for greater attention to professional and job oriented courses of instruction so that our children can look forward to the future with confidence and hope and may not be pained with uneasy feelings of uncertainty and frustration as confront them today. There is also need to devote greater attention to sports and games for the play fields help in building not only the body but also inculcate discipline and capacity to lead. Our educational system needs to be so rearranged that while we instilling our young boys and girls ethical values and respect for religion, yet, irrespective of the faith which they profess, they grow into good citizens with broad minded, generous, and Catholic attitude, treating all their fellow men as members of one large family without inhibitions of class or creed or material fortunes. For a vast country like ours, with many languages, many religions, and in a sense, many cultures, education must help to bring about a synthesis of them all and foster a sense of togetherness and thereby contribute to national integration and harmony. Very often, the question is asked whether the public school system is in harmony with the society in which we live. Para, the public school system have undoubtedly rendered great service to the country in the past and can also contribute much in the years ahead, but the institution has to undergo reorientation in its objectives and a basic change in its concept of exclusiveness. It has to be recognized that public schools have afforded the flowering of personality and building of character of its children, and many of our illustrious sons have been the products of such institutions. The times have changed. If the public school system is to continue and prosper and be meaningful, and I would go further, if it has to have any place in our society, it must ensure that admission of students is not restricted only to those who come from the affluent strata of society and who can afford to spend lavishly. The intelligent and deserving students, irrespective of their social and financial status, must find an opportunity for admission to these institutions. To be precise and practical, firstly, a certain percentage of admissions should be reserved for bright students of less fortunate parents, and secondly, a certain percentage should also be earmarked for average students of the so called common people. We have vast talent lying untapped in our sprawling rural backwaters, and this talent must be harnessed for the overall good of the country. The country is facing many problems, but there are many opportunities as well. Stop.